Today, we're doing something really cool. We're going deep inside a swimming coach's private notebook to basically deconstruct the perfect freestyle stroke. We're going to unlock some of the handwritten secrets to swimming faster and way more efficiently than ever before. So let's dive in.
So let's start with this. This is the one question that just flips the whole script on how most of us think about speed in the pool. It's not about fighting the water, it's about learning to become one with it.
So here's how we're going to do it. We're going to build the perfect freestyle stroke together, piece by piece. We'll kick things off with the real secret to speed. Then we'll lay the foundation with body position. After that, we'll fire up the engine, that's the stroke, and fine-tune it with breath and kick. And then finally, we'll put it all together with drills you can literally take to the pool today.
All right, Section 1, the secret to speed. Look, before we even talk about how to move your arms and legs, we have to get this one core philosophy right. This is the big idea that changes everything.
So here it is, straight from the source. The point is this. The fastest swimmers are not the ones who thrash the hardest, not even close. They're the ones who slip through the water with the least amount of effort. It's all about hydrodynamics. You conserve your energy by cutting down on drag first, and then you apply the power.
And, that whole idea of reducing drag, it brings us right to Section 2, your body position. This is the absolute bedrock of a great stroke. Seriously, if you nail this, you've already won half the battle for efficiency. And what I love about this is it shows you where this knowledge comes from. It's not some dry textbook. It's from the real-world, handwritten notes of a coach who was obsessed with efficiency. This is tested, practical advice that works in the water.
This right here is the golden rule. Your body basically acts like a seesaw in the water. If your head comes up to look forward, your hips and your legs sink, and that creates massive drag. It's like you're swimming with an anchor. But by keeping your head in line with your spine, looking down, or maybe just a little forward, you automatically lift your hips up. It is that simple.
So this slide really breaks down how to get that streamlined position. Just imagine your body is an arrow. You want to be long, and you want to be perfectly level. A huge mistake people make is crossing their hands over the center line, that imaginary line running down the middle of your body. That just acts like a brake. And that rotation you see here, it's not just for power, it's what helps you stay narrow and slice right through the water. Okay, so our chassis is streamlined. Now it's time to add the engine. Let's get into the propulsive part of the stroke and see how this all builds on that great foundation. The freestyle arm stroke can feel pretty complicated, right? But these notes break it down into these 4 clear phases. It all starts with the catch, which is where you anchor your hand and forearm in the water. Then comes the pull, bringing that anchor towards you. The push is where all the power is. You accelerate past your hip. And finally, the recovery, which is all about getting back to the start with as little effort as possible. Now, if there is one magic ingredient in all these notes, it is the high elbow. Underwater, a high elbow lets you use your entire forearm to catch and pull water. That's your power. And then over the water, a high elbow during the recovery makes sure your arm moves in a direct, super efficient path. And that saves you precious energy. Okay, we've got our streamlined foundation and our powerful engine. Now it's time for the fine-tuning. Breathing and kicking, these are essential support systems that can either make or break your entire stroke. Breathing is probably the #1 thing that destroys a swimmer's body line. So what's the secret? Don't lift your head, rotate it with your body, and always be exhaling underwater, making bubbles, so you only need a quick sip of air when you turn. And here's the pro tip from the notes. Try to keep one goggle in the water. That forces you to keep your head low and perfectly aligned. All right, let's talk about the kick. Now, for most of us, it's actually not the main source of propulsion. Surprising, right? Its main job, as these notes point out, is to give you stability and keep those hips from sinking. The motion has to come from the hip with just a little knee bend, and your feet should be relaxed and kind of floppy. So, how do we train our bodies to actually do all this stuff automatically? Well, the answer is drills. This final section is all about isolating each little piece of the puzzle and building perfect muscle memory. Drills are kind of like putting your technique under a magnifying glass. They slow everything way down, and that forces your brain to focus on just one single part of the stroke. The goal is to isolate a movement until it becomes second nature, and that eliminates all that wasted energy. So let's start with a classic from the coach's notes, fingertip drag. It's simple. As your arm recovers over the water, you just let your fingertips trail along the surface. So why do this? Because it's physically impossible to drag your fingertips if your elbow isn't high. This drill forces you into that perfect, relaxed, high elbow recovery that we were just talking about. It's a game changer. Okay, now for one that feels really weird at first, swimming with clenched fists. You're basically taking your primary paddles, your hands, completely out of the equation. And the purpose here is just brilliant. It forces you to feel the water pressure on your forearm. It teaches you that your paddle isn't just your hand, it's your entire forearm from your elbow to your wrist. When you open your hands again, wow, the feeling of grabbing the water is just incredibly powerful. And finally, we've got the drill that ties it all together, the 6-1-6 drill. The concept is simple. You lie on your side, perfectly balanced, for 6 kicks. Then, you take one single perfect stroke to rotate smoothly to your other side for another 6 kicks. This drill is a masterclass in efficiency. It teaches you balance, it forces you to rotate from your core, and it perfectly syncs up your pull with your body roll. This is where you connect all the individual pieces into one smooth, integrated motion. And this quote from the notes, it's the perfect summary of everything. Don't think about racing. Think about being silent. Imagine you're swimming through a narrow tube and you can't touch the sides. That is the feeling of ultimate efficiency. So after deconstructing the entire stroke, from body line all the way to fingertip drills, it all comes down to this. What is the one thing you're going to take to the pool and focus on next time you're in the water? Is it looking down? Is it the high elbow? Or maybe it's just blowing bubbles? Think about it.